This is our big pile of mullein that we harvested on date day, Sunday. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just start getting up little bundles. I might just make this one bundle, put a rubber band around it, and get it ready to hang up on my herbal drying rack that I have over here. I am going to have to take some of the goldenrod and some of the other herbs that I've got hanging up here. I've got passion fruit and passion flower vine that I use to make teas. There's lemon balm, goldenrod, there's mint. And so I've got to take all of this down so I can hang up the goldenrod. Now I like to take these flat boxes like this, cardboard boxes you get groceries and stuff in. This is a Folger cardboard that I got from Sam's. I like to take these, and when I take off these bunches of dried herbs, I'll lay them in these little flat trays, cardboard trays, and they'll keep well there until I'm ready to process these herbs. These are small bunches of goldenrod on top. I'm going to go ahead and put them in this tray. Now this is what it looks like when I've got all the dried herbs off of this side of the drying rack. Of course the kitties are really excited because all of this smells really good, especially the lemon balm and the mint, the chocolate mint, all of that smells delicious. But I've got my stacks of dried herbs that are ready to be processed and put into plastic bags or tins so that they can be used in teas, in for ingredients for tinctures, and for all of the other things that we do with our dried herbs. This is what it looks like when you really use herbs. If you use them, then you'll have them. You'll harvest them or buy them or grow them. You'll hang them up to dry, and then you'll use them. So we use our herbs and our all of the things that we have right here in our apothecary. And then I'll process each one of these and get them bagged up. Now we'll move on to the mullein. Look at this big old top. I had to snip it off to get it into the truck with Donald today. We had to snip it off, and it was so tall. It was well over 6 feet tall. Well, I'll be just hanging these up to dry on their own, these two seed pods, the tops of the plant. And then I'll be picking up a couple of stalks, maybe just 2 stalks. I don't want to make them in the real big stalks. I'm going to have to hang on their own, like this one right here. It's got a lot of leaves on it. You don't want to put them so thick that they mold in between. You want them to have room for airflow to be able to dry out really well. And I'll use a rubber band to go on top right here. And the reason I use rubber bands and not string is because a rubber band, as this dries out and shrinks, the rubber band will shrink with it. If you use a string, it'll be loose, and then your herb can fall out of it. These mullein are particularly heavy, so you want to make sure they stay tight and on your drying rack. This is a smaller bunch. This one is a big one, a full plant. And you can tell we just snipped this off. I snipped it off. I ran up and snipped this mullein right off right above the rosette. It's got nice clean leaves. they'll hang down, and I'll show you what I do when I hang them up. I have you on the tripod. I hope you can see. I've got a couple of bunches already ready to hang. I've got the mullein. I've got a little clothes hanger. What is this thing called? Paper clip right here on the end. I've got my rubber band binding the mullein, and I made a little hook out of this paper clip, and I'm going to hang it up on my rack. I do have S-hooks that I use to hang herbs up on the rack. And you can see these are quite big stalks of mullein. While you have all of your herbs off of your rack, it's a good time to just take a duster and dust it off. And we'll just keep doing this until we get all of these mullein hung up on our rack. Now I have space to hang these big stalks of mullein that we cut off today. You know, here in my home, every home is different. There's large houses, small houses, but the main important thing to know about hanging your herbs to dry is to keep them out of sunlight and put them where they get good airflow so that they don't mold. Because you see, these are bunched up. They're not spread out like they would be if they were on a wire rack. And these will dry perfectly okay as long as they have some air circulation. They'll dry just fine. I dry them like this all the time. Now I'm going to get the rest of these bound up and hanging up. Alrighty, I've got it hanging up now, here to dry in my home here on the drying rack that I have to hang it on. It's quite long. It's freshly harvested and it looks great. We'll be using this. I'll be making tea. And you can see this is the flowering end of the mullein, and it has these little yellow flowers. Those little flowers are what you make the eardrops from. We'll see if it hangs up here, if these open up more, but if not, I'm going to take what little flowers I have on here and it'll be enough to make eardrops for the year. I hung the fleabane up right here. It was growing with the mullein. It has great anti-inflammatory properties, and I thought I'll just grab some of this at the same time. So it's hanging here on the drying rack. I'll be checking this as I go to make sure that everything is good with it, that it's drying as it should be. There are many videos on mullein, how to identify it, how to tell what you're gathering. Once you learn what mullein looks like, you will never mistake it for another plant again, in my opinion. Once you know what it looks like. Now, if you're looking for a book to guide you in using any kind of herb, this is a good book, a medical herbalism book, The Science and Practice of Herbal Medicine. Now, I'm not practicing herbal medicine. I purchased this from Amazon for my own education, and so I'm not sure how much they are now. I've had this one for a long time. But this book will guide you in using your herbal apothecary for your body's sake. Now, because mullein is one of the things that I use a lot, I probably have a place marker where it's at, and I may not. I do. So you can go back to the back to your index, and it classes, it has the herbs in alphabetical order, and you can look these up and find the herb that you're looking for and go directly to it. Now there's whole indexes, an appendix here that tells you all of the names. It tells you all of the resources for all these herbs, pharmacy terms. I mean, it just tells you everything about it. Weight and measure, conversions, herbal information sources. This is just a great book if you are wanting to use your herbs as an apothecary in your home. Now, the last time I used mullein, my little granddaughter had an earache, and it was the weekend, so I used the mullein drops on her ears, and it really did help her ears. It was olive oil and mullein infused oil that helped her earache, and of course her mother took her to the doctor that Monday. Excuse my nails, they are stained from gardening, and there's not much I can do about that right now. I have they're clean, they're just stained. I've been in the garden a lot. Okay, we're going to start at 417. That's what the index tells us. Now, of course, you can just go online and research these. I'm just using this book right here because it's a source that I've learned to use. Might take me a few minutes to get to the pages, but we'll get there eventually. So here's mullein, and it's going to tell you about it. Mullein verbascum thapsus. Mullein combines well with these two, Semifuga racemosa and Lobelia inflata in liniments, for swollen joints and to relieve the aches and pains of arthritis and rheumatism. Rub mullein oil thoroughly into the skin, or saturate a piece of cotton with the mullein oil. This is implying that you've already made an oil infusion with your dried mullein. Apply it to skin and cover with a dry dressing. Prepare mullein oil by infusing mullein flowers in olive oil. For the treatment of painful and swollen joints, pour boiling vinegar over a small quantity of mullein. Cover and simmer slowly for 20 to 30 minutes. Strain, add a small amount of tinctures of cayenne and lobelia and apply to affected areas. All right, so that's one use for mullein that we find here in this book. So you could make a tincture and it would help arthritis. And in the index, it gives you all of the pages where the verbascum thapsus or mullein has been mentioned. And it says here, as it is a common site for inflammatory conditions, it should come as no surprise that a whole range of anti-inflammatories work well in either the upper or the lower respiratory system. For the lower respiratory system, consider, and it's got all these herbs, and of course you can see right here it says the verbascum thapsus. For the upper respiratory system, consider Sambucus nigra and Solidago for Garia. So, but here it lets you know that verbascum thapsus is good for your lungs. And then we go back here. That was on page 489, so there's a 494, 497, and then there's more pages that's going to tell you about mullein or verbascum thapsus. Tells you all the good properties of mullein. In here you might see the general antispasmodic herbs, and you will find mullein right here. The verbascum thapsus is the mullein. So it is general antispasmodic herb, and that means It'll help you. It'll help you with the cold, coughing. $4.97. You see herbal astringent, and then you'll find verbascum thapsus right here, which is mullein. So, and also goldenrod, sage. I mean, comfrey. You can find all these things, these wonderful things. Herbal astringents. They help clean your system. And it says here in astringents, if you've ever had a cup of ordinary tea, you've experienced astringency. The tightening of the tissues of the mouth demonstrates the astringent action of the tea plant, Camellia sinensis. Astringents are sometimes called styptics when applied internally to stop bleeding, or anti-hemorrhagics when used for internal bleeding. Then it goes on to tell you how they work, to let you know that mullein is one of them. And it'll go on to tell you ease coughing by soothing bronchial tensions. Demulcent herbs are rich in mucilage and can soothe and protect irritated or inflamed internal tissue. When used topically on the skin, demulcents are called emollients. As with many other herbal actions, pharmacology does not provide an adequate explanation for how demulcents work. They are rich in carbohydrate mucilage made up of a complex polysaccharide molecules. Thus, they become slimy and gummy when they come in contact with water. This physical property has a clear and direct action on the lining of the intestines, where it soothes and reduces irritation by direct contact. However, some demulcents have similar actions from the site of their absorption into the body, for example, the urinary tract or lungs. Clearly, these remedies do not work through a direct action because the mucilage breaks down into its constituent parts as it is absorbed and thus cannot soothe by direct contact with the target tissue. However, there is no doubt that some herbs do act as demulcents to the urinary tract or lungs. It is simply unclear how they do so. In general, all mucilage containing demulcents have the following general properties. They reduce irritation down the whole length of the bowel, lessen the severity of the digestive system to gastric acids and to digestive bitters, help prevent diarrhea, reduce digestive muscle spasms that cause colic, ease coughing by soothing bronchial tension, relax painful spasms in the bladder and urinary system, and sometimes even in the uterus. Now, here are demulcent herbs and secondary actions. Anticardial, there you see two herbs, and one of them is verbascum thapsus. Anti-inflammatory, antispasmodic, diuretic, expectorant, atonic, vulnerary, and you can see the uses. This is how you educate yourself. This is what you do. You find information, accurate information that's backed up by sources that you can verify, cross-reference, and find out that they're true. This is true. This is an educational medical herbalism book, The Science and Practice of Herbal Medicine. So this is an accurate book. And you can look up the book sources. You can watch YouTube, valid channels that can tell you and share information cross-referenced with other sources so that you know that they're accurate. There's just so many. You can Google them, find out all about mullein, and find out all of the great things that it does. I've shared a video myself on mullein and how I use it, and I'll probably show you some of the things I make with the mullein that we harvested. Now this is the leaves, and you know the leaves is, mullein is really good for the lungs. That's what we use it the most for, is mullein tea. And then we make the infusion with the flowers. And if you can see that these look like lungs. Look at these leaves. If you held them up, they would look like your lungs. And they're really good for your lungs. They have all the veins and just really are symbolic of the lungs. And there's a lot of herbs that are that look like what the purpose that they are soothing to. Now this also said it is used to treat arthritis and other inflammations. And it's has mucilage, and these plants, they have little hairs on them. I don't know if you can see the little hairs on the leaves. I think you probably can. And if you make a tea out of this right now, if I were to take this fresh herb right here and make a tea with it, it would make me cough, because those little hairs would tickle my throat and I would be coughing. I have done that in a video. And so that's a good expectorant, and so good for so many things in the body. Mullein is such a good herb. It helps the bowels. Right here are the flowers, some of the little yellow flowers that fell off while I was processing this to hang it up. And these flowers, they have good properties to make eardrops with olive oil. I think I shared that with you earlier. Now I'm going to pluck off the little yellow flowers and I'm going to use them. Even though that mullein's not completely bloomed out, those flowers will be bigger. Not a lot bigger, but they'll open up and be bigger. And that's when most people harvest them. Now we came across this mullein unexpectedly today. We had date day and we were out together enjoying our time. Forages. We foraged. That's one of the things me and Donald do on date day, whether it's planned or when it arrives. We saw these huge stalks of mullein today. We pulled over and I ran and cut them down and harvested them. And we are using these this year for our mullein harvest. We do have a lot of mullein. I guess it appears to some people like this would be enough to sell. I don't sell mullein. I just harvest enough for our personal use. And if you really use your herbs, you won't just use a handful a year. You'll use quite a bit. We really use our mullein tea. We really use our herbs. And when you use them, you deplete your source and you have to harvest again. You know, it looks like a lot. We had a whole back seat full of mullein when we harvested today, and I know to some people that probably looks like a tremendous amount. But if you have a family and you harvest and you really use it and you share it with others, then it's going to take more than just a little handful. It's going to take enough to last for a while. And I like to have enough to last for 2 years, really, because if you can't get to the resource the next year, or if it's not a good year or not a prolific year for mullein, this year's a great year. It's a prolific year for mullein. I see it everywhere. And going to my mom's and going out that way, I saw a ton of it. So it's doing well this year. It's a good year to harvest. And a lot of people, you know, think, wow, that's a lot of mullein, or that's a lot of herbs. Well, if you use them, that's probably what it looks like. If you it's like the elderberry syrup. You know, we make a gallon of elderberry syrup at a time, at least, maybe sometimes more than a gallon. And we bottle it up and we store it downstairs in the refrigerator. And we bring it up as we use the elderberry syrup. And it's, if you're taking it every day, then you need quite a bit of it. If somebody just shows you a tiny little bottle and says they take it every day, there's no way. Because if you take it every day, you know how much you use up. You know how much you need to last that long for however many people you're making it for. So we really use our herbs. They are incorporated into our house. Probably not the most beautiful things to some people, but to us they are beautiful because we use them, and we think that they help us. We see a difference because we use those herbs and we really incorporate them into our life. Well, I just wanted to share that with you, show you the hanging up and the drying of the mullein, what we did with that mullein we harvested today. And then after it dries, then I can show you what we do with the dried mullein. So stay tuned. Just come back and find the videos that interest you. And I'm glad that you were here and you allowed me to share this with you. And I got to share my medical herbalism book. Now I have a ton of herbal books. My daughter got me one for my birthday. Let me share that one with you real quick because it's absolutely beautiful. 100 Plants That Heal, and the Illustrated Herbarium of Medicinal Plants. Sorry, I've read medical here and I've got it stuck on the brain. The Illustrated Herbarium of Medicinal Plants. And this book is absolutely gorgeous. You can see different herbs here on the front, and then every herb that is in here has a absolutely beautiful picture that goes with it. I wanted to see if I could find the mullein real quick, because I can't imagine a herbal book without mullein. But I don't see it in this book. And it's not by its other name, but that's okay. So mullein is not in here. Oh, there it is. It's under G, Great Mullein, on page 104. I couldn't imagine an herbal book without mullein. Now look at the pictures. Now I've got this marker in here that came off of one of the kids' things, but you can see, look at this beautiful. That is so beautiful. I want to frame it. Now that's the cornflower. Let me find the mullein. They call it Great Mullein in this book, but you can see it's for Bascom Tapsis. That's exactly what we were talking about, and it shows you the active elements: mucilage, flavonoids, saponins, saponides, iridoids, hydrocytic lignans, and aromatic oil. And it tells you some history on this herb. A pectoral flower, a proven cough suppressant. Great mullein was one of the ingredients of the infusion of 4 pectoral flowers. Its emollient, soothing flowers facilitate expectoration and relieve coughs. They were wonders for chest inflammations, blocked airways, sore throats, and tracheitis, a good calmative for asthmatics. The flowers likewise have antibacterial and antiviral properties, and to a lesser degree are antimycotic. And it tells you the description here, how beautiful. It tells you where it grows. And if you can't find mullein in your area to forage it yourself, you can find mullein online. Amazon has dried mullein. You can see here it shows the leaves and it shows the flowers. That's how the flowers look when they open up. And this is a close-up of the little flower. And you can see the fuzz all over this plant. So that's a beautiful picture of the mullein, isn't it? This book has been great. Been great. My daughter bought this. Oh, it's got a picture of the flowers bloomed out. That's what I was saying. The flowers real bloom out. That's when most people harvest those flowers, when they're bigger, to make the eardrops from. But you can make the eardrops from the little flowers too. This is a beautiful gift. My daughter gave me this for my birthday this year, and I have really enjoyed this book. But I was just saying all that to tell you there are plenty of books out there on herbs, and you can research and find out, educate yourself, and find out the wonderful world of herbs for yourself. Now, I grew up, I'm an Appalachian, so we grew up, all this was around when we were growing up, and we learned a whole different life about it. We grew up with it, so that's different. If you didn't grow up with it, don't give up. Don't think that herbs are not for you. I'm not a doctor of any kind. I'm just self-educated. I'm sharing with you what we do, what we forage, and what we use it for. You'll have to make your own conclusions. Nobody knows yourself better than you do. Nobody knows what kind of health needs and different things that you have besides you and your medical provider. So always weigh that out. Just like with my little granddaughter, we used Mullein drops to ease her ear until she could get to her doctor's appointment on Monday. Her mom did take her to the doctor and find out that she had an ear infection, and they devised a treatment plan for her. So you always want to consult your medical professional that cares for you, that knows all the details about your body, what the medicines that you are taking, and you never want to take that health care for granted. You want to be sure you're backing up and taking good care of yourself. I do want to put that in there. And thank you for letting me share with you my mullein, how I dry it. I look forward to sharing with you what I do with it after it's dry. Thank you for coming here, and like always, until next time.